first item, we will call this meeting to order, and the first thing that we will have is our invocation. Tonight, I want to introduce you to someone that, if you haven't met him, and he has told me that he is a great person, so you have to meet him. It is Dr. John Stewart, and he is the interim minister for the First Christian Church. He has been at the First Christian Church since January, and he is here with his wife, and he had to tell me how to pronounce her name. It's Noni. Is that correct? I got it correct. So, Noni. His real home is in Texas City, but his hometown is Fort Worth, so he's really familiar with the area, and he likes it here at Alstyne. Not only is he married to Noni, but they have 2 sons and 2 grandchildren. So we are glad to have him here tonight to lead us in the invocation, and if you haven't met him, I do encourage you to do so. So if you will stand.
Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, be with us now. We thank you for the blessing of this community and for the people that serve it, and we pray that you will be with them and guide them in the very precious work that they have, the care of this community which we love so much. Thank you for each and every person. Grace be with them, bless them, and keep them, both now and forevermore. Amen.
Thank you very much. If you will remain standing, our councilwoman, Karen Tarver, is here, Tarver, and she is going to be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and for the United States flag and the Texas flag. She is a retired lieutenant colonel. So Karen, if you will please lead us in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now our Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. The next item on our agenda is the citizens' communication. Do we have any?
No, ma'am.
There is no citizens' communication tonight. So we will start with a public hearing. This public hearing is regarding the 2012 Annual Drinking Water Quality Report. Each one of you received one in the mail, and Mr. White is going to go over it with us and explain and answer any questions that you may have in regard to this.
Good afternoon, Honorable Council, Honorable Mayor. We're required by Texas Environmental Quality to submit this by July the 1st of this year. This is our 2012 annual drinking report. We have no negatives on our report this year. So everything has meet the qualifications and minimum standards of DC. Any questions?
Council member Tarver, do you have any questions regarding this?
No, I do not.
Council member Blake? Nope. Council Moore? Councilman Smith? Does anyone in the audience have any questions regarding this report? Councilman Jennings, I forgot you were here. I'll just look around and ask, do you have any questions regarding this water report?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Thank you. I can't get used to that. Do
Maybe
you?
I would probably be blessed back to if he'd go ahead and turn his microphone off on that end until he stops. You'd say that to John, right?
Yeah.
John, Billy said if you turn your microphone off until you were ready to talk to us, there would be less back feed.
Okay.
Thank you.
You got it. Manager Baker, do you have any questions regarding the water report? Then at this time, I do declare the public hearing is closed. Item 6, approval of the minutes from the June 11, 2013 regular meeting. Councilwoman Tarver, do you have any questions regarding the minutes?
No, I have discussed one item with our city clerk, but they're fine if she made the slight
Yeah.
change.
On page 2 and item 11, I think it's about six lines up. It says owners initiates repair, so it's going to remove the S from the end of initiates, so that sentence is proper.
Thank you. Councilmember Blake, do you have any questions?
No.
Councilmember Smith? Councilmember Jennings, do you have any questions regarding the minutes?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Thank you. Is there a motion at this time?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion by Councilmember Smith. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Blake. Are there any other discussions regarding this? All those in favor, please raise your hands. It is unanimous. The next item on the agenda is discussion pursuant to an agenda request regarding property tax. And Grant, I believe that's you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me here. And the agenda was property tax, and just basically, why? Why has it increased? Is, I guess, the basis of my question. Why has my property tax increased? And then, yes, I'm definitely interested in how it is being spent here in the city of Alstyne, and I have some suggestions, but I imagine that would have to be put on the agenda for another meeting, and have many questions, and I've been hoping to hear from the chief here in the last couple of days, and haven't, but just simple questions about signage, especially near my neck of the woods here in Alstyne, which is Graywood Heights. But first of all, property tax. Why is it so stinking high, or am I the only one that feels it is so stinking high? And apparently, as compared with last year's property tax I paid.
Decreases. It did.
Land value.
Well,
First, the value
the tax
of
rate
the
that we charge you
property.
didn't increase, right?
We went to 7.4, yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
it did. The appraisal, when it goes up, your taxes go up. That you're aware of, I'm sure. And the tax rate is set by the council, and it's according to the amount that they need to continue for the city to continue. Is there a specific question in regard to that?
Yes, on the
Okay.
709 Elm Circle, my home, my residence. Why mine has increased so much over last year to this year. $20-some thousand increase in alleged market value of my property.
We have no control of that portion of it,
And
sir.
I knew I was gonna hear that, Mr. Baker. And I see that would be put off on Grayson Central Appraisal District.
Let's not put off on them, sir. It's actually who handles that.
We have nothing to do
Yes, that's-
with that.
I've had mine increased by that much before, and you go to them and present your case on why it shouldn't be. And that's how you get that cut, but it has nothing to do with us. But I've had mine go up and actually went, showed
Did yours
properties
increase this
around.
year too?
Huh?
Did yours increase this year too? And
Mine, the last 2 years have increased about $25,000 and $30,000. This last year, they only increased it $7,000. But that was because each year I go argue with them about how much they increased mine by, go show them other properties and how much they've sold for, and then you can use that as an indicator that this is what mine should be evaluated at.
okay, that sounds like
So you
common
need-
sense
that's a
and
process you
logic.
have to-
That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, that's a process you need to go through with them, but I think you have to do it before the
May 31st
May
was the
31st or something
deadline
like
to
that
file
of a year.
protest.
then, so like you can't do it till next year, and when you get your statement, or even before you get your statement, I call them like in December and find out what my appraisal is gonna be for the next year, or when it will become available. They tell me, and then I go back and prepare to argue with them. So that's what you can do about the increasing in the value
Go to
of the
them
property.
and
Go to them.
question them of how they appraised it. And
I have also done
understand
the
that,
same thing.
that the
And
Dow
found
Jones.
out that the house that they appraised, they had found a house in Whitewright that had sold for much more than our house, my parents' home, was valued at. Therefore, they assumed that it should be the same value. So I had to take pictures all through the house and of everything that was wrong with it, go up and meet with them before they would say that my house was not at the same value as the one they had taken before. They did not check anything except when I got there, they only had a picture of the outside of the house. So you have to go up there and talk to the chief appraiser and make an appointment to appear before them and take pictures.
I don't have a problem with the appraisal amount they have on it currently, but the increase from last year to this year, and I understand that existing home sales, thank good googly-goo, are back on the upclimb, but so is the Dow Jones, and that's well over my head, but gold is continually on the downslide, which makes no sense to my simple mind. But my question is, why was it raised so much from last year to this year? But I guess I will have to take that up with Grayson Central Appraisal District, as I thought the city
Make
would
sure you
tell.
contact them and protest. Because if you show up and you haven't called and set up a time to
Sure,
protest,
sure,
then you're going to be in, it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
going to be frivolous.
Okay, and I would be using my realtor, who is a very old friend of mine now, to help me in this, but he is the one who told me, yes, you need to contest this, because it just doesn't make sense with common sense and logic, as I think, well, this is another topic that I wish to have with the city, just to help educate myself, you know, in my neighborhood over there, speed limit signs, or lack of speed limit signs, because, yes, I'm in fear of getting a speeding ticket.
Okay, and I have those answers for you. We've got to stay on top.
Okay, so that would be agenda thing I would have to do again. Can I get a copy of an agenda request, please?
I don't have it here, but Mr. Baker has the answers to your questions that I think he can probably provide to you by phone or appointment tomorrow.
The three questions that you had asked have been answered, and I'm sure that they're not on tonight's topic, but Jennifer does have the answers to those questions that she'll be glad to consider.
Okay, so you're just show up at City Hall, like, in the very near future, Mr. Baker?
I'll take that.
Okay. And thank you very much, City, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is presentation of the library patron survey.
Tracy, you may want to turn that first switch off if you're going to do the PowerPoint.
Depends on how much you value.
Slides.
I'm just gonna hold my little laptop because I don't want it hitting the floor. So, that's all right. It has this little interesting picture. Let me. Sorry, Mr. Jennings, you hand out. Unless you can talk somebody into standing up and holding it in front of your little face.
You'll take our word for it.
They'll take our word for it. It's just backup information anyway. This is a copy of the survey that we gave out, distributed to the public. Jennifer, next slide, please. It was created in conjunction with the library board. It involved, we did it for roughly 2 weeks in April, mid to late April. We offered it online, and as you see the paper copies, the online copies were sent, we sent a link to all the homeschool, through the homeschool network. We put a link on Facebook, we put a link on our website, and we sent it to the college and asked them to send it to their students. Whether that actually happened or not, I cannot say. But we did ask for that. We got 62 responses. As you can see, the vast majority of them were female responses, and the vast majority of the responses came from the Van Alstyne zip code, though you can see there's some from Hal, some from Anna, and then those other three, there was one in Fannin County, one in Gunner, and then the 7507 ones in Kenny. I was real surprised we didn't have any of the ones really from Sherman, because we have a lot of patrons who have, that do live up towards Sherman, particularly the south end of Sherman. But anyway, that's where we're taking our responses from. The age of the respondents is kind of all over the place. Yes, we did encourage the young people to fill it out, particularly teenagers, because they are our future voters and taxpayers, and we want to know what they want out of their library. So you can see we did get some of the younger folks too, but the majority of them, the vast majority of them are between that roughly 26 to 70 age range. Got kind of a good spread there, I think. And one of the questions you'll see we asked on there was the ages of children in your home. And of the respondents who had children in the home, this is the spread of the ages. 23 of the respondents did not indicate anyone under 18 in their household. This one gives you kind of the gist of how often people visit. You can see there's quite a few that visit once a week. Again, a lot of those are going to be the people with children, because we have people research. But well attended, our library these days. This is the spread on the borrowing. As you can see, most of the people actually come in looking to borrow fiction that's not necessarily the most current bestsellers. Either that, or they don't know that what they're checking out is a bestseller. Because we do have, if you've come in lately, you know we have that rack right as you walk in the front door, and almost all of those are the newest bestsellers. And so if they walk in the door and pull something off that rack, then chances are good they are getting a bestseller. They just didn't necessarily come in the door saying, I saw this one online. The requests are increasing in that area as they realize that we are trying to make sure we get those. But yeah, a lot of them have the specific areas. They walk in the door and they only want their westerns, or they only want their romance, and they come straight for those categories and they'll care what's going on. Library computers. Those who have not seen our beautiful new computers, we have 10 new computers that were donated to the library, and they are beautiful things. And you can see a lot of people come and use them. The vast majority of it for internet research, or what that person using it classified as internet research. And of course followed up not too far behind by email or social networking. We've got one guy who's working on his ham radio license. We've got lots of college students, and they're doing research and doing college work. That's a lot of what I see as I walk around and pass by. And on most of the visits, you can see most people find what they come looking for. And that was a good response. And this one made me extra proud, because this one says our staff is helpful and friendly and courteous and everything that people expect a staff to be. We know that customer service is absolutely the most important thing. If you don't have the book and you say it in a nasty way, it's a much worse response than if you don't have the book and politely say, we can try to get it, or can we borrow it from someone else for you for interlibrary loan, or something to that effect. So people do find this very helpful. The past year, people have attended, as you can see, the vast majority are children's programs, but teens are not too far behind. This makes sense. Most of the programs we have are for children. So this is, a not unexpected response here. And we did have on there just kind of a comment. What would you like to see in your future library services? A lot of them simply said books and more books. But we had a few here I wanted to highlight. Some of them wanted more college prep, choosing a college, things like that. I think that's probably an informational thing. We have a database where they can take practice tests for all of these college prep things. They can go in and pick their interests, and it will tell them what colleges carry degrees in that area. And so that's going to be just a marketing communication thing of what we already have, I think. For those of you who don't know, we have a number of people who come in and borrow the GED books and working on GED. And the GED, as of next year, is all online. There will be no more paper and pencil test. So it's really important that we try to get the folks in there who don't know how to use a computer to get an appointment and let us show them how to use a computer. Because even a GED, they're not going to be able to take any of that. Books and technology, preschool, school-age programs, an adult graphic novel section. We have already begun to add that. We had a number of requests for that. We had one already in juvenile, we had one in teens, and now we're adding one in the adult area. Expand the video collection to include some anime films, and so we're looking at where we can get some of those. Books and audio for children in both English and Spanish. More family-centered activities such as movie night, and we're giving due consideration to adding something on a quarterly basis as a family night at the library. Books and movies, as I said, a number of respondents mentioned that, maintaining, updating data services, computer education, and filling the gaps on missing servers. So this is the gist of what we have. What we're kind of seeing there, other than a few suggestions, is they like what we're doing. They just want us to do more of it. So we'll be leaner and meaner and still trying to go forward. Any questions from anyone? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We're very proud of our library. We're glad that you have brought us up to date because it's important that we know what's going on in our city. The next item that we have is consideration or take action regarding an ordinance, amending ordinance number 481 as it relates to property maintenance. Yes.
Mayor, Council, Tim Barnes and Steve Watt will be addressing this.
Mayor, Council, as y'all remember, last council meeting, we were talking about being transparent to the citizens regarding code. Me and the city clerk started working on that project to putting illustrations on the website. And we determined as we were doing that, that in our code 481, there's nothing in there regarding the maintenance of the easements. So we're coming to you tonight to add that language. Also, in the ordinance, there's no exemption for agricultural land. As you know, there's numerous plots inside the city limits that are for hay and crop. Well, right now, currently, they're in violation of the ordinance unless we add some language in there exempting. So we just thought it was important to update the ordinance, be more, the language should be more understanding.
What was the first part that you said? That, you got the agricultural part, but the very first part of it you were saying is an issue.
Well, regarding the easements, currently, as the ordinance wrote, there's nothing, one that identifies the easements and who's supposed to maintain that easement. So if there's no identification of who's supposed to maintain that easement, it falls back onto the city to maintain all the easements. And so it's pretty self-explanatory language, as easy as possible, that it's either the back of the curb or the road edge, and then in the alley, the same type definition.
We're mainly talking about the right-of-ways from the curb to the property line, which is
Currently, not talking about like the highway or talking about well, I'll give an example of, well, any residential right-of-way in the city. One example is right here at Jefferson and 120, or Jefferson and Dallas. You know, the grass was high, but it was really, we couldn't have enforced the owner to do that, to take care and maintain that easement through there. So this basically will have the homeowners take care of the property. It doesn't, the way we don't have to come out and say, you don't take care of this, we take care of that. it's a pretty common, looking through all the ordinances that the majority of the cities have, they have the same language in there. For some reason, it wasn't in ours. And when we were doing the illustrations, that's when I determined, well, we can't put an illustration on the website if we don't have language in the ordinance to support it.
But, okay, like Kelly Lane, where it goes out past Georgetown, there's a bunch of fields and stuff on this side of it before you get to the Georgetown area. Would that be fitting in this category? Do they have, the people who plant crops in there, do they have to maintain then the road?
Yeah, it's more than 10 acres.
Okay.
And they're ag exempt. And they're removing hay or crop off
Right.
of it, then they're exempt.
They're exempt from, so we have to, the city has to maintain the right of way. I'm talking about the grass being mowed up to the highway, I mean to the road. Who maintains that?
Well, I would think that it would be actually the landowner other than if it's crop or hay. So if they're, I understand what you're saying, if there's grass out there and they're not producing hay off of it and definitely not crop, then they'll have to maintain that.
Then they would have to
Wouldn't you
maintain.
agree?
Yeah,
On
they
Dallas
did mow
Street,
that
for
today.
instance, the residents on the east side of Dallas Street keep everything mowed into the road. But if you'll drive down Dallas Street, across the street, it's a corn crop. And the Johnson grass is very high and it's right up against the road, but it's not mowed.
And we can, how I look at this or define that, if they're not pulling that off for hay or a crop, then they're gonna have to maintain it.
But they have a crop of corn
Yeah,
right
but
there.
if you're talking about the Johnson grass and they're not producing that as hay, then they'll have to take care of the Johnson grass that's not the crop.
Who has been trimming it in the past?
I'm not really sure. I don't know this.
Has the city ever gone in and?
The
trimmed
city
it?
does some, and then there is a man down the road who walks his dog there, and he brings his lawnmower down and mows
Yeah, they-
the west side of Dallas Street or a path so that he can walk his dog.
I can tell you, Steve
I'm
would probably
talking
be the
about
one.
the house on
Jefferson and Dallas.
on the corner of Dallas and Jefferson, behind the big green.
Yeah, there was a work order created in the past. The homeowner's been required, but once it was determined that it couldn't be enforced, it was a work
So
order
the city
generated.
has been.
Yes, they did, there was a work order generated, they took care of it the last time, but if the ordinance passes, it'll be the homeowner's responsibility.
Okay, and then there's a barn down here on Preston and Tolson that they mow the grass, and the house behind it mows their grass, but the ditch is always lit. Has the city in the past done that?
That's where you get into, this is what we're asking for, that's a utility easement. And if we get into that, then we're gonna be required to mow all the utility easements, because most homeowners will want us to do so. And that's what we meet, if it adjoins their property, they need to mow their own property, because the utility easement is just the place of the utilities, and they're still on that piece of property.
What about the property behind Jack in the Box? It's really grown up down there behind Benton's and behind Jack in the Box up that creek, and that is a drainage creek
That is,
the city needs.
I believe that's
So
how-
all of these drainage creeks that we need along there, who's responsible for that?
If you look at that, that's a text dot drainage easement. I don't remember how wide it is, 100-something feet.
So TxDOT is responsible for coming and mowing behind there?
It's their property. But, I mean, we've done some of the work around the road right there alongside Van Alstyne Parkway. But the type of equipment that you need to mow those type of ditches, we do not have. I just have to send people in with weed eaters.
So, do we notify TxDOT? Do they just come and every so often? How does that work?
I can tell you for when we've called TxDOT for the right of ways of the highway when they get hot, and basically they'll tell you they mow twice a year through contract. So, they'll either mow it or they won't. I mean, if it's in that cycle of being mowed, then they'll mow it.
Now, the property in front of the Shell station, the large area,
We mow that.
Yeah, we mow that because that's
that's
part of
TxDOT property also.
That's an intrusion.
I think there was an agreement, didn't we? Wasn't there an agreement I hate to put you on the spot. Seemed like we looked that up because it did get high one time, and it seemed like there was an agreement from the city and TxDOT for us to maintain that, as long as on the other side too, the mobile takes care of where the signs at.
So this ordinance, if we change this ordinance, what effect is that going to have on TxDOT?
I don't think it should have any effect on TxDOT.
We still won't be able to enforce it with TxDOT.
They usually probably the same. City road.
I also noticed in this, and you've got section 1, section 2, and then you go over, you've got section 2 and section 3. But on section 4, you've got severability, and section 15, you also have that in the O. So does section 4 and section 15, section 4, let's see, there, instead of Article 1 or Section 1A, you've got Section 1, Section 1, but Section 4, the title of it is severability, and Section 15 in the other, you've got the same title without distinguishing. They're titled the same with different numbers.
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance 481, Section 15 is the severability clause, which is a standard clause that is in almost every ordinance that we do, because if something's wrong with a part of it, then it saves the rest of the ordinance. And just the part that's wrong is not done. So the ordinance that is amending Section 4 of Ordinance 481 is its own ordinance, so it also has its own severability clause. The ordinance for your consideration tonight is changing Section 4 of Ordinance 481. It is not changing Section 15.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant
okay.
that it was confusing when you were reading it, because you've got a section and a section, and instead of a Section 1A or Section 1-2 on the new one, and then you go over here and you've got Section 1, so I'm going to refer to severability as that Section 4, Section 15. And I was wondering about the way that they had been titled, I guess.
Yes,
Because that is, I thought, confusing that you've got two, the same title, but the sections are.
well, in the ordinance for your consideration, Section 2 is the section that says that Section 4 is being amended. Section 4 of 481.
So it's really the only one we're looking at is Section 4?
That's correct.
All the other is not.
The rest of Section 481 would remain the same, only Section 4 would be different if you pass the ordinance that's in the packet.
Just so for information on how we handle something when there is violation. As an example, the house on the northeast corner of the house in Jefferson, we have been, that house is vacant. If nobody mows that yard, what do you do?
There's a process, contacting the owner, let's lay it out, and then at the point that there's nobody that we can reach, the city work order generated, road work goes out, and then there's a lien put on the property.
For the constant.
How long is that process? How tall do the weeds get before you?
If the weeds are over 48 inches tall, the city can go in within as fast as 48 hours, and in order to correct that, if it is determined to be a more dangerous situation, if you're down at the 10 inches or higher violation, then it's probably about a month process by the time you figure out who to notice, who the owner is, who's on the tax rolls, send it to them, they don't reply, publish it in the paper, we go through all that steps, it's gonna still be
So
growing.
you just wait till they go to 48 inches?
If it's already 48 inches, but it's in agriculture, do you do the same thing?
If it's not hay or a crop.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. Well, I'm not finished.
No, I'm asking for questions.
Okay.
I was going down the list.
Okay. Just a point of clarification on the second page of this ordinance, where it says Section 3, Savings Repealing Clause. I noticed that on line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it talks about nor shall the repeal the repeal. Should that just be the repeal?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the other question I have is on the first page under Section 4, where it's talking about, and it starts with the sentence, for purposes of this ordinance, the lot or premises includes, but is not limited to, the property between the curb if curbs, and what?
Or no curb then the edge of the road surface.
That is, if there are curbs, since not all of the roads have curbs.
Okay.
So it's between it goes up to the curb if there is a curb, or if there's no curb, then
Okay.
it goes to the edge of the road surface.
Okay, so then in an instance where the landowner or the homeowner mows to the curb, what's growing in the street is not our responsibility as landowners. Okay? Because I had a dispute with the city back in June of '07 about how Main Street was done in front of my house, and the grass is growing in the street. And I nearly got clipped once mowing the street, and I will not mow the street.
I would not recommend that you go out in the street.
Yeah, in Germany, it was a little different. They would even, the housewives or housefrau would sweep the streets and clean to the middle, but I told my husband I wouldn't do that. But anyhow, I just wanted to clarify that. If it's growing, up to the curb, including, curb, but anything beyond that
It's the
curb,
city's responsibility.
okay.
Councilman Flood? I'm finished. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
How about you, Councilman Hall?
I know we're putting in, you've got in here the exemption for agriculture. It seems to be essentially, you're still wanting them to be able to mow their right of ways because they don't plant and harvest up to the road edge. So that patch of weeds and grass between their crop and their road edge, you still want them to maintain. But it's kind of looking like this completely exempts them from maintaining that to me. Is that?
It does not. It's, all the provisions that are in ordinance 481 without tall grass, if it's grass or weeds more than 10 inches, will still apply. This is just clarifying that tall grass does not mean hay or crops that are being harvested for animal and human consumption. So if there's something else growing that doesn't fall within that category, then they are going to be responsible for keeping that road.
Councilman Smith?
I noticed that, and I applaud you for doing that, in the downtown area. There's, I hate to be nitpicky, but this crack between the curb and the sidewalk is where most of the weeds are grown up. The city has taken additional spray those. And I think that's great. Is that something that the city should be doing, should have been doing, or is that just something you're doing?
It's detrimental to
because
the
somebody
infrastructure.
planned?
It's detrimental to the infrastructure anytime you allow road point concrete or roadways.
Okay.
So, I mean, yes, we're doing it.
And you're going to continue to monitor?
That's our,
Okay. I think it's much more logical for the city to take an hour to do that, to than for 30 different business owners to go out and take care of the intersections.
I think if you look at some of the the easements, even some of the sidewalks are probably on a little right of way. I know in some areas it is.
Thank you.
Councilman Finn, do you have any questions?
I have no questions. I would like to make a comment on the Councilman Tolbert that you mentioned. I myself do feel that if a property owner's grass grows over the curb and down into a gutter, that it is the property owner's responsibility to keep the grass trimmed at the gutter on the property side. That should not be the city's responsibility to keep grass from going down the gutters when it is coming and imposed over into the gutters from the property. And I'm assuming that this does address that. Is that correct?
Does this address that?
I would say in that scenario, the roots of what's growing would be in the area that would be the homeowner or the property owner's responsibility. And that would be a different scenario than when the roots of what's growing are out in the middle of the street.
Did you hear her?
I didn't hear all of that. What I was alluding to was if grass grows from the property down into the gutters and impedes the flow of water from our streets, it should be the property owner's responsibility to keep that grass from going down into the gutter. Now, once it's in the gutter, it's, I guess, our responsibility to make sure there's no dirt stuff in the gutter, but the grass itself should be trimmed on the property.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And the only other issue I had was this, it's utility easements. I don't think it was mentioned, I thought I heard that. But even though the utility easement is there, it is still the property owner's responsibility to maintain the property. That easements are there as a convenience to the utility company.
That is also correct. The property owner actually owns the dirt itself. The dirt's just burdened by the utility company's right to use their property.
Okay. And the only other question I would have then is what do we have as some type of a tool to go to TxDOT or the state in areas where they are responsible for these properties that's not being maintained?
Probably begging.
The area that I was referring to does have water sometimes that stands there. There are mosquitoes, and it has been cleared for a few feet. Thank you. But on down through there, it is really grown up all the way down almost to Brahms.
We, monthly, we treat that water with larvicide, and then we also trap mosquitoes for Grayson County, 2 to 3 areas. But we treat the water after every major rain event and then once a month.
But we can't do anything about getting them to come down and clean it out and get the drainage going.
I've never seen a highway department really work with the city.
It's their property.
I know. And we do, some places we do, like whenever grass is getting high alongside the frontage roads, we did cut 1 or 2 passes, but I'm limited in manpower and equipment, and the type of equipment you need to cut ditches is actually an articulating arm that can actually get down there and cut it instead of sending a man down there with a with a swing blade or weed eater. So we're pretty much limited on what we can do on that bigger stuff.
Well, this piece of property was the only one I was concerned with, that each time a resident goes out, they go out to Jack in the Box or something, and you look over and you've got this very grown-up ditch all the way, not quite from 121 to Brahms, but it's there, and it's really an eyesore.
One of those spots
It
we
looks like
cleared
we're
out.
not doing it, but it's not our property.
Yes, what we cleared out took a day and 4 minutes.
I believe it, because it was so grown up.
So,
that was just a
if
little-
I cleaned the whole one, it'd take several weeks, and it'd take.
But it's not our, there's nothing we can do to get them to take care of it.
We'd like a request, that's what it's.
Are there any other questions by the council? Thank you very much. There not being any other questions by the council, is there a motion that we pass this ordinance?
Make a motion.
We have a motion by Councilman White. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Moore. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. The next item is 10, consider and take any next action necessary regarding an amendment to the interlocal agreement for the Grayson County multi-jurisdictional emergency notification system, and this is code red. And we have our recommendation from the police and fire that was in your packet. And did you, Chief Barnes, did you have anything you wanted to say in regard to this?
We've used Code Red numerous times, not necessarily just for weather. We've used it in the past for when we held an elderly man that went missing. So it's a good program. It's a great way to notify the citizens when there's an emergency or if we have a situation where we're looking for someone.
And a good thing about this is it's free to the city. And if you have not signed up for it, and there is a tornado in the area, you don't get the phone call. But it's really nice to know that even though you don't have the TV on or you don't know that you will be notified by them of the inclement weather. So at this time, is there any questions, Councilwoman Tarver?
I just wanted to ask one thing, and that is, when was the last time we let the public know, our citizens know about this and encouraged them to get involved? I went online and looked up on the Grayson County website, and there's information there on what it is and how to sign up for it, and I think it would be only appropriate either in your mayor's letter or through the newspaper that it be put in again, that encourage people to sign up for this.
I believe when I signed up, it was in the Herald Democrat. Is that correct? Last year?
Normally every year, as far as when storm season comes about, I know that we talk about it and it goes in the newspaper. So
in the leader?
Yes.
Councilman Place?
The thing where it tells about the cost of it, I think is one of the sheets that we got. Is that what somebody pays for it? It's not what we pay, it's just.
It's free for us.
So like the $1,210.
It's covered by a grant right now.
Okay, so, but that's what it would cost us? Okay. Sorry.
Councilman Moore? Councilman Jennings, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am, I do not.
There not being any further discussion, is there a motion that we adopt this amendment?
I make a motion.
Motion by Billy White, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilwoman Tarver. Any further discussion? Last call. All those in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. I'm going to get so much report. Yeah, we got through that now. The next item on the agenda is department reports. We'll start over here at the table.
I don't have any.
Nothing.
Fire.
I think I've said enough tonight.
Well, I thought it was really interesting.
Thank you. Yes, and let me once again invite all of you to step into the library and see some replacement shelving and some exciting things we have going on over there. And if you particularly want to be entertained, on Monday morning at 10:30 this summer is when we have our summer entertainers, and it is noisy, it is laughing, it is wonderful. So please come by some Monday morning.
And she would also like to encourage you, and if you have someone that would be interested in the teen council, our library has a fantastic teen council. It's a great way for the kids to have to spend the summer. It's on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
At the library. and it's really enjoyable, and it teaches them many responsibilities.
You actually
Mayor.
encourage noise in the library?
On Monday mornings, we encourage noise in the library, and if you haven't been in one in a while, just in general, they are not the whispering places they used to be. We try to hold the inside voices, but we do.
And they have a good genealogy section. Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to add, a couple weeks ago, we had a manhunt that started down in the Georgetown area. Just to kind of bring the council up, you probably seen the newspaper. He was apprehended today. Our detective, and along with the detective from Anna PD, were also able to recover the gun that the individual had. So, and did get a full confession from this individual. So, he doesn't, hopefully, will not be getting out of jail anytime soon.
I hope not. Mr. Pine?
Yes, I just want to bring attention that we are still pothole patching with the county. And I think they actually prepared 6 roads today for the sealing. And it's actually leveling out a lot of the roads, so it'll give us a smoother surface. We're just building a base for our road, and that's what we got to have, is a good base.
What did they do out here on this street? That we drove over when we came in.
Oh, that was pothole patching.
Okay.
And they sealed the road and potholes.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the city manager's report.
Mayor and council, give you an update on the truck route and communication with TxDOT. The 2 engineers that I was communicating with at TxDOT, one is promoted to Paris, the other one's promoted down to Dallas. The new individual that's coming into the Sherman office isn't in-house yet, asked for some time to get familiar and to come up to speed on different issues around the region. And so gonna stay on him as soon as he gets in, but we'll start working on getting that appropriate signage around town and see what TxDOT's willing to do. Again, it's going to come down to a request. So, also with the 4th of July, do have the committee put together for the 4th of July. I would like to recognize those people by name. And Laura Dacus headed up the committee. I'd like to thank her, Ken Uselton, Barbie Griffin, Kelly Moore, Vicki Cupid, Tim Barnes, Landon Smith, as well as staff, Kenita Larkins and Jennifer Gould. Appreciate all their help. I feel like 4th of July went off better than we've had since I've been here. Thank you.
Thank you. Council.
Yeah, I have a few questions, issues. I'm concerned about those railroad cars that are on Main Street. Nothing's being done. It's a hazard. I think they're an accident waiting to happen. And in addition to that, they're an eyesore. And nothing seems to be being done. And I think then we ought to either donate them to someone else who would like to do something with them, or remove them, because it certainly doesn't improve or enhance the city's appearance. So that's one item. The other one, I was wondering if we could get an update on the museum roof.
Museum roof was patched when the 2 larger scuppers were installed on the front of the museum.
But has the problem with water been solved with all the drainage onto the roof? I think, was it 3 different roofs flow onto it? And, you know, it's city property.
And going back to the engineer's assessment, that was an existing issue, and I guess we could look at going after the other property owners if that's what the city, if that's what council chooses to do. But it is a pre-existing. That's the way they've always drained, according to the engineering assessment. I don't know that we will be able to do anything unless y'all want to discuss with legal some type of action.
Oh, because it's not right. it is just not a right thing to have city property being destroyed or damaged. And, you know, hey, it's something we should be having pride in our museum. And if we're going, even if we spend money to fix it up, it's only going to be deteriorating in the future. So I think that we need to address that and take some action to correct the problem.
That would be direction that y'all need to give the city attorney. That is a pre-existing issue. Maintenance is always required of city buildings, and the museum is no exception. I don't know when the last time maintenance was performed on the museum, but we have remedied the current issues as far as the roof and the drainage are concerned.
From one building? No?
Yeah, because the drainage pipe that comes off of the building, that is the ex-American Legion building, is not connected, it's just there. And then there is the drainage pipe from the building that is just south of the American Legion building, which drains out to the museum. And then there is the drainage from the building west of the museum, which drains onto the museum, which could actually drain to the alley, the one on south of the American Legion building. It has no outlet to drain. But right now, the drainage, the pipes that were put in are not extended over the canopy because I was told we need to see if it is strong enough to even hold it, because there is rotting on the east end of the overhang.
Then I think this is something that we need to look into and correct. And the last thing I just have a question of, we have talked a little bit about the emergency plan for Van Alstyne, and in light of the different disasters that are happening around the nation, and understanding that we fall under Grayson County, but I think we need something at the local level that we can have, let our people know where they can shelter, and if we have shelters, and how to take care of themselves. This would include notifying people about Code Red and the different things. So I think it's an issue that needs our attention.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have.
Councilman Blake.
Until you said this, I didn't have it, but could we come up with like maybe two or three, maybe three of the council people to get together, and we could start, maybe trying to go look at it and discuss it and come up with a plan that might work to fix it.
Which museum?
The museum issue. I would be happy to volunteer. I'm sure Karen would be happy to volunteer. We get one more
Have to
person.
be careful, no open meetings violation.
Okay.
And also there was, we had two builders to come and look at it, and that the things that needed to be done, and they gave their assessment, and there was another assessment made. And Shanita, who was it that made that last one?
I don't remember it. I remember Mike Harrison's one.
There was one that we submitted to the council, and I can't, which one was that?
Those are the only two I'm aware
Okay.
of.
We have, I had the paperwork that was submitted as to what could be done, the amount, and it.
But now we can only do
It's right
one
there.
because Councilman Moore is on the council.
Yes, we'll eliminate him. So, but we do have the paperwork, and I would be glad to show it to you. Any other questions? Councilman Moore?
Lost his job.
That's going to be a very difficult project. First of all, I wanted to thank everybody that was involved in the 4th of July celebration. I personally had a lot of people that told me that that was one of the best celebrations I've been to in Van Alstyne. I'm sure that our very rare weather that we had helped a lot. but the turnout I heard was really good. And I know that involved a lot of our staff, and also I know we've got one volunteer here, a lot of volunteers that were involved, and it's good to hear that positive feedback when people are very pleased with something that the city was very involved in. And what was really cool with some of the feedback was the school. The school just was excited. They thought it was a great success and a great venture between the city and the school district, and which is a very good thing on bringing the city and school together for a great positive outlook for our community. The second thing I know you had mentioned the railroad cars. It's probably something that we probably want to look into some public opinion type deals, because I know that there's probably some sentimental. I know there's a lot of people that like them. I know there's people that don't like them. It's one of those deals. I think it's definitely something we want to really get a lot of public opinion on, because I know that they were placed there out of the aesthetics of the old railroad, and a lot of people use them for pictures and different things like that. That's a positive, and I know that there's some negative to it too. And the museum, I know Mr. Baker's brought up some of the deals, and just coming from a construction background, the issues from it being grandfathered, pre-existing, this is how those buildings were built. Not saying they were built right, but 100 years ago they were just put together sometimes. It throws a lot of kinks into making sure it's done right, and obviously going after a citizen or somebody, an owner that's next to it that also purchased that building in their condition, that was built that way, that could drain that way. It obviously isn't the right thing to do. So it's something that I think engineers, architects, whoever we can get involved to help find solutions to get that water away without hurting, the museum or the owners of the other buildings. It's a very complicated issue. It's not just something we can dive into and just fix. I think they, put some Band-Aids and got some things to help. Yeah. So there's a lot of issues, and the bad part about it is a lot of things can be repaired. There's definitely going to be a lot of money put into it. But it's something that's going to have to take some attention from some third parties, and not just council. We can't just say go up there with our own opinions. It's going to take some very good professional help to get the remedies put into place.
There was some funds, am I correct? Maybe would you like to?
Mayor, this isn't actually on the agenda, we're
No.
getting beyond a report
Okay.
and into a
There are
substantive
some funds
discussion.
with the EDC. Councilman Smith.
I think I'll pass.
Well, it's my turn. And I think, I forgot, John, do you have a comment you wish to make?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I do. First off, I'd like to say thanks to Chief Barnes, and Jennifer, and City Manager Frank for allowing me to be able to participate tonight via the means I am. It means a lot to me, and I take my position as councilman very serious, and and wanted to be able to do this, and appreciate your help in doing it. I'd like to also say something on the museum that Mr. Moore touched on a bit. I think the city needs to really consider and think long and hard on this situation also. Not only do we have construction that's decades old, but we have a long-time existing condition. Previous mayors, previous councils, previous city managers have known about the situation. I don't think it's something we want to jump into quickly, particularly going to a property owner and with allegations and trying to get something done. We need to look at this collectively and reasonably when we do this. That's all the comments I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, you have my comments. And everyone who volunteered for the 4th of July was great. But all the volunteers couldn't make it, and they were all their sponsors. So if you have an opportunity, please say thank you to our sponsors, Landmark Bank, GCEC. We have a number of sponsors. And if you purchase a t-shirt, you can look at the back and find out who all the sponsors are. But without the town's support and those sponsors, the activities that we have would not be possible. And the funding, we had great fireworks because we had great funding, because we had great sponsors. And so if you have an opportunity, please say thank you. So at this time, we will be going into executive session. You have something? Pursuant to section 551.0415 of the Texas Government Code, the City Council may report on the following items. 1, expression of thanks, congratulations, or condolences. We have done this in executive session. We will do in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Open Meetings Law. The City Council may meet in closed executive session pursuant to applicable laws, and we will go into executive session in 5 minutes because our executive session will be in this area. So we will adjourn the City Council. The City Council meeting is not adjourned. I guess we adjourn the public. So, thank you very much for
Mayor,
coming tonight. Yes.
before the public leaves, either yourself or the city manager should actually read item 14 so they know exactly which sections of the government code the executive session is authorized by, and then state the time that it is now. Yes, ma'am.
Convene into executive session pursuant to section 551.0871 and 2, economic development negotiations to discuss Project Armadillo. B, convene into executive session pursuant to section 551.074, personnel matters for evaluation of city manager. We are convening at 7:42, and we will go into executive session in 5 minutes.